Jesse, take it away.
All right. So last time at our meetup, we went over labs 1 and 2 for a fictional character, Jane, who is developing a project using Copilot. She has to develop it in Python. She's never worked with Python before, so she's using Copilot to help learn how to develop in Python. So we went through the steps of who was here last week? I don't remember. Joe, Ed, Emily, were you here?
Yeah, I think Joe and Ed were here. I think
Okay.
Emily had another
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
had
missed the
something.
last one, but I'm excited to be here. I just started using Copilot at work.
I just oh, awesome. Okay. Yeah, we went through it. We learned how to install Copilot into VS Code. Well, first we learned how to activate it in GitHub, and then sign in or install the extensions for it and sign into it in our VS Code, and then how to just ask it questions and get answers, and how to trigger like oh, what do you call it when it finishes statements for you. So we went through lab 1, lab 2, and now we're on lab 3, documenting the code, which my links don't work here for some reason. So let me get over there. What's hard is like Zoom blocks the top of this, so I can't navigate to my stuff right. So maybe if I squish it down. Okay. So now we're on lab 3, documentation. I'm just going to go through these tasks, and then if you want to follow along locally, you can. I'll just pause after each task, and ask. Let you complete locally, and then I'll ask, check in. Okay. Use Copilot to document your project code. Our fictional character, Jane, wants to use Copilot to document her project code. Task 0, open the relevant file. Open documentlab.py. This one, it's located in the start file, in the start folder. So not the Python intermediate folder. So I have this opened here, and it's just basically what we worked on in lab 2. It was the project class that Jane created that returns a list of tasks. Task 1, doc strings. Jane wants to learn how to document class functions to improve readability. Jane asked Copilot on how she can develop documentation for her Python classes. So she's going to ask it, how can I document my Python class? So I'll go here. How can I document? Is anyone else following along locally?
Yeah, I'm working on it. I thought I was on this other computer, but I wasn't. I was on this computer. So
Oh, okay.
now I found my way.
No, I'm following along, but not exactly. I use more like React and JavaScript.
Oh, okay.
But I do like seeing Python. I used it at my last job, just a smidge.
Yeah, Python's being heavily used for AI development now with custom copilots. That's why I chose this language.
So yeah, that's interesting. Is custom copilots, is that a thing that you could make a side hustle? Developing custom copilots for people? Or is it more an internal dev role, like a copilot developer?
You could probably work with a company to set up a custom copilot. It takes time though. I'm not 100% sure what all goes into it, but you'll need, I mean, they'll need to have access to Azure. They'll have to have OpenAI. You have to be able to train with their data, with the company's data. And you would develop APIs for it so that when people, and I think you would have to, I'm not really sure how to do the hookup. Like VS Code, there's a hookup to an API on for Copilot on GitHub. And that's how everything comes back. It'll like send your question and any references to that API endpoint, and then it'll generate here. I'm not really sure how to do that.
And and then on the other side of the endpoint is
I'm still
your
learning
custom model.
Mhm.
Cool.
But there is a whole, like at the end of this, I have like reference links at the end of this that'll take you to like classes and how you can, or documentation, how you can develop your own Copilot.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
See, so documentation. So we're just at the basics of Python still. She already learned how to, develop classes and variables, and now she's just documenting her code. So she asked Copilot, how can she document her code? And it just, I think for everyone, it's gonna say something different. For me, it copied my code over here, it referenced it, and it's showing me examples on how to document it. So I could just copy and paste this over here. It gives me a little information. Doc strings are a type of comment used to explain the purpose of a function or a class. They are placed immediately after the definition line, before the code in the function or the class starts. So I could copy and paste this over here. I think another way, I go into my Python file and just type these. Should auto finish it for me. We have this issue before.
Yeah, last time it's like we had to, and it's almost like we had to seed it with a command and then it would start suggesting.
Yeah, what did it do?
Wow.
Oh, I didn't accept it. That's what happened. Here we go. Now it's starting. Oh, there it goes. It seems like it'll take a minute to get started.
Mm-hmm. So you're in under start, you went to preview 6.
What was that?
I was busy fumbling around. So you're on number 6 under the start.
Oh, yes, I'm on number 6 documentation.
Yeah, cool.
On task 1.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's like struggling today. So if I do this little prompt thing, and then accept it.
Oh, wow.
It just did it in one go. Yeah, okay. So task 2, inline comments. Jane now wants to add inline comments to clarify the intent of some of her code. Inline comments are used to describe why the code is written the way it is. You can use these to explain lines of code that are not self-explanatory. In Python, we use the pound notation to mark the start of an inline comment, aka hashtag. So this says navigate to the def init function of the task class. And there's a typo. Below the if project is none statement, activate Copilot by typing the pound key. If a suggestion does not appear, start typing the sentence in the code snippet above. So, I already have this in here. I think it did it for me when I used this generate using Copilot. I don't know. Did you try it, Shannon?
I'm looking. So I did, all I did was I asked, I didn't do the generate. I kind of skipped that because I was like, I got to Copilot and I asked it, how can I document my code, Copilot? And it gave me, the book of suggestions. So now I'll try this. So I'm going to go to the task class. And because I'm like, I have to go back.
Oh, right. My task class did not get populated with.
Is that in project? Nope, it's project. Yeah, I don't have a task. So I have, no, task 1. I do have task. So just,
To add doc strings. Okay.
there it is. Okay. So it's like if project is none. So under that, I do have a hashtag, but I'll put one above it and see if it auto. Yes, it does. So I went above if project is none. I typed hashtag.
Yeah.
And then it auto suggested check if project is provided. So
Mine says if no project is provided, assign the task to the general project. So it's like this slightly different phrase, but it means the same thing.
well, that was already there. I
Oh,
put one above if project is none.
okay.
So I don't know if we did that last week or last time.
Maybe.
If it just was there. But I'm gonna start commenting all through this document and see what I get. Like, so let's say I didn't want the first. Like, can I like cycle through? Like, okay, I don't know, that's not great. What's the next? No.
Oh, right.
So like I went under def view task and I did a hashtag and it just says print task details. But what if I wanted try again?
Did you do the Copilot where it comes up with like a little double star?
No, I just did the task, the hashtag. There's the little star. So if I hit that, then it's ask Copilot. So
If you do it in line, you could type what you want it to do, like add comment, and then you can cycle through, toggle changes, retrieve the name of the associated project. It's not really good. It's only recommending one thing for me.
yeah. So what happened for me? I just put my cursor in a spot, and then I clicked the stars, the sparkle, and I said add comment, and it made a block comment, I guess you would say, like with the 3 quotes, and it says return the description of the task, which is better than the hashtag gave me, which was print task details.
Okay.
Wasn't quite what I was looking for, but return the description of the task is much more accurate of a comment.
It seems like the more you work in a file, the quicker Copilot responds and the more robust it gets for the context of the file you're working in.
Mm-hmm.
So go on to task 3. So Jane wants to add example code to create clarity around how to use functions in her project code. Example code is commonly used to explain how to use a complex class or library. It gives examples on how to use the code created. It can also be used similar to pseudocode, as it can help explain what needs to be built. Navigate to the remove task function. Did I lose the remove task function?
I think in
Oh,
mine,
in the
it's unit
project.
test. It's in
Okay.
unit test, I think.
I think it was part of the project class. I have it. It's in the document file. Okay. Start a new line below the remove task function comments and type examples. So under the comments, I'm going to add examples. Press enter. And press enter to create a new line and type arrow, followed by the code you want to demonstrate. After you type, what is that called? Forward arrow. Copilot will default to auto-completing examples for you. So
Yeah, would say that greater than or less than? That's less than. The less than sign. That's what I would call it.
yeah, it is. So it's telling me how to declare a project. And then it finished it for me. I think I was supposed to do this within a comment. So that's pretty cool. Like I could add this to the is palindrome method. So examples, it's just finishing for me now. You probably don't need to clutter up your own code with these, but it's really great for learning for a newer developer.
Yeah, and if you're documenting code,
Something that's really heavy and confusing.
yeah, for somebody onboarding, like we have that struggle. It's like, okay, as we write this, if somebody were coming in brand new to our team, would they be able to read this and understand what's going on here? And sometimes it's just so complex that you want to make sure everything ties back. And so you do. We have kind of like a big heading at the front, at the top of the file that explains what it does and what changes have been made, kind of like a mini change log. And then if it's really complex, we put something around the code that's being changed.
You could do the prompt here and put add examples. So I'm going to try that and see if it adds an example this way. And it did. Oh. So that's pretty cool. So you could probably do this at the top of the file. for the whole file.
Yeah. And I don't know if can we like expand it and collapse it? So it's like if you don't want to see this big thing, let's see. Oh, you can. Cool. Yeah. As I'm using Visual Studio Code. So you can put this big, heavy comment with a bunch of examples in there, and then you can collapse that whole section if you don't want to see it, if you're like actively working in it.
Is it Control K0
Mm,
collapses
yeah,
everything?
looks like it.
Mm. Okay. Were you able to get the examples running?
Mm-hmm.
Is everyone else following along? Okay.
Yes.
Do you have any questions so far?
No. Well, more of a general question. I'll wait till the end. But what we've done so far, like I've followed along perfectly.
Okay. I'll go on to task 4 then. So to-do comments. Jane knows she wants to add a function to export her task list into Excel at a later time and decides to add a to-do comment as a reminder. So in programming, to-do comments are commonly used to flag and track something that needs to be reviewed, fixed, or done in the future. To generate a to-do comment, place the cursor on the line where you want to add the to-do comment, anywhere in the code. Start typing to-do, hashtag to-do to allow Copilot to suggest new tasks or fixes. Press enter to create a new line and continue writing your code. So I want to tell it though to generate a task list or export to a spreadsheet. So I'm going to do at the bottom of the code to do so keep suggesting. Actually, it's going to suggest code for me too. I wonder how well it can do this. What does pass mean in Python? So another thing you can do.
I don't know. I haven't used that. So at the end of a function in Python, it will return whatever is the last, if there's anything. Maybe that just means you're not returning anything.
Mhm.
Yeah, how to do nothing in Python. So that's just you specifically saying you're not doing anything rather than not doing anything.
Okay. So is it like code not implemented
Yeah.
or just a return?
Just a return, like we're not returning anything. I guess it would return nothing, maybe, instead, so which is not null or empty. It's
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't used it, so now I'm gonna have to look it up and see.
So excuse me. So this little asterisk, you could, if you do a backslash here, if you bring up like the Copilot command within the, you can ask it to explain the code. I can totally type. It won't let me click on it. Yeah, so it just wrote me like a big thing about what pass is. It's like a placeholder to be used where code will go, but it hasn't been written yet. Okay. Code alternatives, task 5. Were you able to get this working, Shannon?
Mm-hmm.
Go to
Yep.
task. Code alternative. Jane now wants to use Copilot to review some of the code and evaluate different solutions. In programming, there are always multiple ways to solve the same problem. Copilot can offer code alternatives automatically as inline suggestions while you are programming. To generate code alternatives in Python using Copilot, you can use these steps. Navigate to the remove task function, just towards the top. Place the cursor on the line above self.tasks.remove. Type alternative code and press enter. Hashtag alternative code. And then Copilot will generate code alternatives for you. And get stopped.
Oh, you put it on the line above.
What?
I was just reading, you put it on the line above, self.tasks removed. The line above, type pound alternative code.
Huh. So mine started giving me an if statement and then it stopped. Let me try this again. See, this is why AI won't replace us.
So it did my code too, but it did an alternative, but
Did
it's
it?
it's commenting it all out. So it's adding it as a comment.
Oh, you know,
Did you see that?
should I put it inside a comment?
No, it did exactly what your sample code said.
It
So
did.
it was right. Yeah, it made it added it line by line, but it was it was commented out. So that's what it was supposed to do. Cool.
Hmm. If a task is in self-task. Oh, now it's, huh. It just adds an if statement. Did it add an if statement for you?
Yeah, it added the exact one that's
Okay.
in your sample code on the document.
So that's pretty cool. So a summary. In this lab, Jane learned how to use Copilot to document her project code, learned how to use doc strings to document class functions, add inline comments to clarify the intent of her code, add example code, and to-do comments, and evaluate different solutions using code alternatives. So now we're going to move on to unit testing. So that will be in document 7. So I'm going to get my, I can't see this Zoom thing. Can you hide it?
Oh, let's see. If I go to view options. No, it doesn't look like there's anything.
I have to like shrink my Visual Studio so I can.
Is it pinned? Like usually I can like.
Yeah, I
If I
can't
hit
move
the
it
pin,
around. I think it's
it'll.
the meeting is being recorded is blocking it.
Oh no.
It's okay. We're going to
Yeah,
use
that's
the,
interesting. I don't even see the meeting is being recorded on my screen.
I'm going to use the unit test lab.py from the start file. It's the start folder. And this basically continues off where we left off. So you could probably just use the document coding or the file you've already been using and just continue from there. But all right. Lab 4, unit tests the code with GitHub Copilot. So Jane now wants to use Copilot to generate test suggestions, test cases, setup and teardown methods, mock objects, and exception tests for her project code. So task 0, open the relevant file. Test suggestions, task 1. So she wants to use Copilot to generate test suggestions to test functions in her code. She wants to create unit tests based on these test suggestions later. Test suggestions in Python are suggestions for tests that can be generated automatically by a testing framework. By a testing framework, a core, or a tool like Copilot. Okay. These suggestions are based on the code that you have written and can help you to identify potential issues or edge cases that you may have missed. You can use Copilot to generate test suggestions by following these steps. So I think I added a section in here in the unit test lab py that has the imports because I forgot to add it in the documentation. So I have import unit tests, import PyTest, import unit test.mock, and import magic mock. Didn't like that. And then I have it started with a class test project. So place the cursor where you want to generate the test suggestion. So create a new line at the bottom of the file and place them here. Type. So I'm going to put it inside this test project class. I'm going to type test suggestion. And press enter. So mine suggests that to test the project name is correctly set. Oh, look. So Shannon, you know how you were wondering if you could toggle between suggestions?
Yeah, like get a better one.
Yeah, so I
Cool.
have previous and next arrow on this one. Test that a task can be added to a project. So if I press enter, it's gonna create the test for me. I do another one. Test that a task can be removed from a project. I hope these all pass. Okay, so it generated these test cases for me automatically. So I'll go ahead and move on to task 2 unless anyone has any questions.
No, I was wondering about like getting more than one option. So when you showed toggling between 1 and 2, that's new for me.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
That was actually the first time I saw it in there. I've been seeing it in this like pop-up prompt.
Yeah, that's kind of why I tend to always run to Chat GPT is because I can always like make it keep going or give me a few options. That'll be more convenient than having to jump out of VS Code every time.
Oh, you mean like can go to Stack Overflow or?
Yeah, or Chat GPT or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna move on to task 2, test case generation. So Jay now wants to generate test cases using 2 different popular testing frameworks. What happened? So you can use Copilot. Oh, in Python, a test case is an individual unit of testing which checks for a specific response to a particular set of inputs. PyUnit, unit test, and PyTest are popular testing frameworks in Python. PyTest is one of the most widely used Python testing frameworks. It is open source and supports unit testing, functional testing, and API tests. You can use Copilot to generate unit tests for the add task function using PyTest by following these steps. So, all right, so I already have this installed, but this is going to tell you how to install pip or PyTest. So I don't know, do you have it installed, Shannon? Are you following? It's just you following along?
I think
Yeah.
I don't have PyTest, I don't think installed.
Okay.
I don't do no stinking unit tests.
Yeah.
Not on this computer. I'm just playing around on this one. This is my work laptop. I don't use code. I use Databricks mostly. So it's all in notebooks. But they do have an AI tool very similar to Copilot. They just launched last month that I'm going to be trying to see if I can do all this cool stuff with that.
Okay.
But I can go ahead and see if I break anything by trying to install.
Yeah, in your terminal, you just type pip install PyTest. So I'll just make sure. It already knows.
Yeah, it shouldn't. If you did it, it wouldn't break anything.
No.
It would just say it was the latest. And PyTest. Yeah, I go between mine and your screen, and I think your screen is my code environment, and it's not.
What?
I said I'm in my my Visual Studio Code window, and then I look at yours, and then I realize I'm not. I think I'm in my code development environment, but I'm not. I'm looking at your screen.
Oh.
So I have to go back. And I also have to get out of PowerShell.
You have to do it through PowerShell?
No, when I start my terminal, it defaults into PowerShell. I want it
Oh.
just to be bad. Yeah,
Yeah,
I can
I think
probably
mine
do
did
Git bash.
too. You know, and it's cool. It's like if you don't know how to unit test whatever framework you're in, you can ask Copilot, like, hey, how do I unit test this? And it's going to give you this whole thing without you having to go through Stack Overflow or reading through the documentation, because it'll pull from the documentation itself too.
So strangely, it says, oh, here, it's telling me I can install report missing. So actually, It told me that I was missing PyTest and that I could import it because apparently I don't have pip installed either, which is strange. I mean,
Oh,
it's like the demo monster. I'm sure it's installed. It's probably just at a not. It's just my path. It's probably not added to my path, and so it
okay.
can't find it.
Is
But
pip part of the Python download, like the Python compiler download?
yeah, I think it's supposed to be.
How to install pip? Oh, you can download getpip.py. Um, do you have the website?
Oh, I
Or
should
do
be
you
able
have?
to like Python. Maybe no. It says I don't even have Python. So I'm. Oh no, I do.
Did you get it
Mhm.
or?
No, I don't have. I don't have pip. I mean Python's there. Um, but it doesn't. I don't have pip on this. Let me just try regular command prompt. Maybe
Okay.
there's a. I'm
If
sure
you
there's a
ask,
path issue, but
and you can ask Copilot too. How do I install pip? Just let me know when you get it.
it's in the wrong thing. So yeah, it says it's usually installed when you install Python, but if it's not,
Hmm.
so Python get pip.
Oh my God. Yeah, do you have to add it to your path? You said?
Maybe it's not on my command prompt either. It's just strange. I'm in Python, but I don't have pip. So if I exit here, do I have to delete it?
I think.
Mm.
Do you have like these two extensions installed? A Python debugger, the Python language support?
Let me look at your screen.
These two
Mm.
extensions for VS Code.
Yeah, let me check.
I don't think you need the debugger, but
I do have the debugger, and I have Python,
okay.
and it's the Microsoft starred. So their Microsoft version. I wonder. I don't shouldn't need. There's a pip installer, but I shouldn't need to do that. If it's just me, we can move on. It's just, it's weird. I know I've installed stuff before with pip.
Huh.
So I'll go back to
And I can double check my path variables. I don't think I never had to add it.
Sometimes when, sorry, I was gonna just say, sometimes when my paths are all messed up, I literally close out VS Code and reopen it. I don't know, just a thought.
Oh, that's not a bad. It's actually this document has been up for 2 weeks. I had it in a separate window, so I wanna save changes. Oh, save.
I don't have anything explicitly added.
Let me close. That is totally possible that my VS Code is just confused. Oh yeah, look, it's updating. It was just mad at me because I didn't apply updates yet.
Oh, your VS Code is updating.
Yeah, we'll see. Hope this fixes it.
I'm not sure why this one is broken. Oh. Is that it?
So we are in unit test lab Y. Yeah. Okay, and then hopefully, yep, Copilot's still chatting. And a terminal window.
Did it go?
No, still doesn't have it. And I'm in the directory of the project.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I feel like it's like I'm going into bash. I was doing it at command line, but I'm even doing pip3. Oh. I wonder if can Copilot find it? Yeah, it says to just, if you want to find out if it's installed, you just say pip version, but I already know pip is a command, not.
It says that you can run, like from the command line, you can do curl. I typed into how do I install pip from command line? It tells you can do a curl and get that pip file. And then you run the get pip.py script with Python using Python. Do you have Python, regular Python installed?
Yeah.
So did you want this command?
I'm gonna
Chat.
so here's something. I don't know
Okay.
if this is the same one. Python-m ensure pip upgrade. Is that what you got, or you got the curl command that was downloading it, right? I want to try this one.
That's what it suggested. It suggested that I just go to this link and download and save this file, which is like a huge file with big script in it.
So it says the requirements already satisfied. Set up tools.
Okay.
Pip is in, yeah. So pip is in this path. And so I just have to add, I think I just have to add this path to my like paths. So, well, now that I've run that, let's see, maybe it added my path in that command.
Oh.
No.
Weird. You can find the location where pip is installed by typing where pip. Is that true? I feel like, oh, that did not happen for me.
Yeah, it says info could not find files. I go into bash though, that looks like a bash. So where
Did someone say something? I'm sorry, now we're kind of veering off.
when I did the upgrade to ensure pip, it told me where it was. And so if I just add this to the environment variables, I feel like that would work just fine. I don't know why it's not there. So let me ask Copilot.
Oh, there it goes. Cool.
Terminal. There we go. Set X.
Oh, mine was actually in the v.env file.
Hello.
You know what? Yeah, mine is pointed to my local file, the venv that's in the project. And it has my folders. So maybe you want to delete that, or maybe that's conflicting with your local environment.
Oh. Delete your environment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't set up an environment. I don't have that though.
Oh, you don't have this file
Where is it again?
in the Learn Python with Copilot? It's the .vn file. I think I submitted it in the repo.
No, the only thing that
Unless
I
it was
have,
ignored.
yeah, it's just I have the Learn Python with Copilot and then the Learn README,
Okay.
and the Get and then Learn Python. So that's not.
Maybe it
But
didn't. Maybe
I
didn't.
did add this to my path and it didn't.
Okay.
It still didn't work. So, I gotta fix some stuff with that. I wonder why that didn't add it. And so I just displayed the path again and it didn't add it to the path.
So you can add it. You could use PyTest if you just do. Look, it's already going to start typing it out for me. PyTest mark parameterize. So it generated this for me. Maybe, are you able to use PyUnit?
I don't know, but that path that I was looking at was not, it didn't have pip in it, so that makes sense. But I don't know why it didn't even add it to the path. Anyway.
You could do Python create environment possibly? I think that's where this is like a virtual environment that it created for me when I from last week or last
Mhm.
meetup. If you go down here in your lower right, Shannon, and click on your
Mm.
311, does it pop up anything for your interpreter path?
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Did that work?
It's in app data local program, so it's not in a virtual environment, but let me see. Pip has got to be somewhere in that same place.
Uh-huh.
So,
Okay. All right. Well, when you get it, you can
Mhm.
use PyTest to
Yeah,
generate. If you
I
just,
will catch up and I'll let you know when I get it.
you're the only one who's like following along locally programming, so I'm gonna generate a remove task with PyTest. And then at the end of this, I'll test them all to see if they work. And then PyUnit. PyUnit is a built-in unit testing framework in Python. The primary goal of PyUnit is to facilitate the creation of test cases and test suites to verify the behavior and correctness of individual units of code. You can use Copilot to generate unit tests for the remove task function using PyUnit by following these steps. So place the cursor where you want to generate user unit tests and type, okay, this is like a specific command. So you would type use unit test and then what you wanted to test to generate tests for the remove task method. Actually, I'm going to create a new class according to my code. I'm going to do a new class and call it test project 2. So here we go. Use unit test to generate okay. Okay, I want to add all these, but I just want the remove task. Go into task 3. Did you get it, Shannon?
No, I found it. It's in like a scripts file where in my Python install directory, it's in a scripts file. But I still can't get it to add So I'm gonna like restart.
You're gonna restart your computer?
No, the
That's
yeah, VS Code. And I'm also gonna look on the command prompt to see, because that set X that it gave me as a command to add it says it'll add it not just for the current session, but all future sessions. But I don't see it being added, so I'm gonna try to do it here. And it even says successfully added the path, and it didn't. So frustrating.
yeah.
It says success, specified value was saved. And then if I like print it out, path, not there. So I can actually go into system and add it that way.
Okay.
Let's shut that one down and bring up another command prompt, because it does say sometimes you might have to restart your command. So I'm going to do that. And I like print out there it is. Okay. It's there. And if I do pip install PyTest, that works in my command prompt. It's
All
work in my
right.
terminal. So
We need a
cool.
beer after this. Okay.
So yes. All right, demo monster. Okay, so PyTest is installed.
Mhm.
And I'm just going to go back to the docs and follow from there. I know you're not too far ahead of me.
No, I have stopped actually. Have you used PyTest before?
Mm-mm. No, I have not. Maybe I have in like another demo type environment, but I've never used it for my work.
So it looks like it's just like parameters that you can pass through into your tests. And they start with this at symbol.
So I'm opening up my environment again.
I'll go ahead. I'll give you a minute.
And we're on task. Which task are we on in the instruction?
PyTest, it will be task 2.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
yeah, it's just like the first chunk of task 2.
So I'm just gonna check here and make sure I can get from. Okay, cool. Pip is now available in my terminal in VS Code, so should be good. So I installed PyTest. Okay, so place the cursor where you want to generate the tests. In this case, we'll generate them on a new line at the bottom of the file. Okay. Type pound and then use PyTest to generate a test for add test. And press enter.
Did it work?
Yeah, so it says test suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? So I can say, yeah. And then test suggestion. So it's just suggesting a bunch of tests. It's not rating them for me.
But yeah, and then if you have to start typing the at symbol and type the at symbol PyTest, and then it
Yeah,
should.
that worked. I'm in, so the PyTest dot mark parameterize and then task description. Yep. And it's got the bracket. Yep. Start typing that. And Copilot will generate the code. Replace the sample test data with your own data and just repeat steps 3 to 5 for each set of test data. Okay, so like test 1, test 2. Yep, that auto completed. Yay, it works.
Awesome. Okay, and then the next section is about PyUnit, which is kind of like what we already did up top. Unit test dot test case. So I don't know. I have all these tests that were suggested and generated, and this is basically using PyUnit, I believe. But on step 3 is setup and teardown. So with unit tests, you can define setup and teardown methods within test cases. These fixture methods allow you to set up the necessary environment before executing each test and clean up any resources afterwards. So in this section, we're going to use Copilot to define setup and teardown methods. So if you copy this code right here, use unit test to generate tests. It's for a new class called test project 2. Let me just copy this over here. We could do it ourselves, but okay. So you copy that over and then you place your cursor above the remove task function.
So we're not doing the teardown function, or we're doing teardown function too as well?
We'll do that too. But see, if you just go to the next line, it's just going to start a setup function for you. It should. So it generated like task 1 or task 2, task 3 that it's going to refer to in this remove task test. It's creating these tasks and adding them to a project.
See where I'm at. I'm just copying.
And then I want to tear down. I'm going to type def tear down. There we go. This one, Jen, it did super dot tear down. Oh, yeah, that's supposed to do that. I forgot. Usually when I'm writing unit tests, I'm constantly running them. So I'm going to ask Copilot, how do I run a unit test in Python? So it's referring me to my file. It's telling me how I can run it.
So I'm not supposed to copy the backtick Python, right? Just the comment and the test class test project 2.
Oh yeah, so I'm looking at the markdown preview. If you're looking at the raw markdown, I could see how that would look confusing.
Okay, so that's there. I actually have test project 2, so I'm going to make this test project 5 plus test project 5. Because I think I have the end file that has a bunch of, I think it's already done. So I copied that over and
Ooh, I have some failed tests.
let's remove channel and type def.
I think we have about 5 minutes left.
Okay, cool. So that just did the setup.
It did the setup for you.
And now I'm doing the tear down. Cool. Yep.
I actually had an error in my test. You know how to, if you need to know how to run your test, you can ask Copilot, how do I run it?
I will. You need to like get used to asking Copilot, right?
Mhm.
Because it's, it's easy enough to just do what you've always done.
Yeah, I have an error in mine. We only have a couple of minutes left, so I
Can
didn't want,
can Copilot tell you how to debug it?
yes. I highlight it, say, why is this test failing? It made changes.
And is it okay? So it changed, and now if you run it again,
I think test project 1. No, it just reverted it back to what it was.
That's AI.
Right.
Oh, I will say I didn't know about that. So that's another thing. I can highlight it and ask it again.
Mhm. Missing one required positional argument, task name. But task. Interesting. Task one, task.
oh,
I don't know why it's failing. But if I run it with, I'm just going to open up the end project. It's easier. Ta-da, these all passed magically. Do you guys still have time? We have like just a little bit longer. I can
Yeah,
read
I'm
over these
good.
quickly.
I'm gonna try to run my
Um,
test, and then yeah, I'm good.
So next section is about mocking data. In unit testing, mocking is a technique used to simulate the behavior of objects that a piece of code depends on. It's necessary to test a piece of code in isolation without relying on other parts of the system. So mocking allows you to create a fake object that behaves in the same way as a real object but can be controlled and manipulated. So I think, where did I put the mock? You can use Copilot to generate mock objects by testing by following these steps. At the bottom of the code file, copy and paste the following code. This is for test project 3.
Mhm.
This is using magic mock object to test the add task method. So below the remove task function type. Oh, I have a wrong description on this. It's supposed to be the remove task method. Sorry about that. Below the remove task function type, create a mock object for the project class using magic mock and populate the task list with mock tasks. So that's what's happening here. And then it created a project using magic mock, which I don't know. I'm more familiar with C#. So I don't know if you've ever used like mock Q.
Mm-mm.
We use it to generate like mock services that we can call and that we don't have to feed all the parameters into. It just is like an interface for the class, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it just provides something for you to call in your test.
Without you having to actually instantiate everything on the way down. So yeah, that's another way to utilize Copilot. I'll skip ahead. Exception testing. So exception testing is a technique used in unit testing to verify that a piece of code raises the expected exceptions under certain conditions. Purpose of exception testing is to ensure the code handles errors and unexpected situations correctly, and it fails gracefully. So you can use Copilot to generate the exceptions. This is demonstrated in the test project 4 on the end file in the end folder. That's what I'm working off of now. So it'll let me know if an exception was raised when it tries to remove a task that doesn't exist.
Yeah. And I already had that in my file.
You
And I
do?
ran I ran my tests and they all passed. So
Okay.
that's good. But I
Awesome.
think it might. I don't know if we ended up doing that last time or if it's in the source.
What, adding these tests or?
Is the end file, are those tests already in the end?
Oh, the end folder
files?
has all the completed.
Yeah, I was just running
Yeah.
those. I didn't
Oh,
create my own.
yeah. Yeah,
So that's why I had to
started
add.
generating errors and I didn't feel like debugging, but sometimes Copilot will generate a faulty task, so you still have to go in and you'll manually adjust it. Which is a little tricky if you're new to a language.
Yeah, I used to run into problems in Visual Studio back in the early aughties. Because you could have it generate your project for you. And oftentimes I would end up deleting something that was part of the like partial class.
Yeah.
And it was more confusing to try to figure out what I did and how I messed it up. And this was back when we didn't have GitHub. We were using like SVN.
Yeah.
So you were checking out all your code and it was, how did that work? Like you checked it all out and it was on your local machine and then you pushed it up, like made a copy and you like copied over everything. It wasn't like GitHub where it's just keeping a change log and applying those. So you were overwriting everybody's code if you didn't know what you're doing, and you checked in if you checked in a bunch of your like compiled object stuff, it was messing everybody else up. Yeah, those were the days.
That like was source safe.
Yeah, I think Visual Source Safe is another one.
Oh my God.
I always use Visual SVN or Tortoise SVN.
Never used those. I used source safe and I remember someone would go on vacation for like a week and lock the file.
Yes. Oh, that happens with TFS still.
Oh my God.
We have some old code in TFS and people are constantly pinging each other. Hey, can you like undo your changes or check it in or something? Yes.
Hi, Jessica. Do you have time for a question?
Yeah.
Thanks. I did a search on Microsoft, just Azure bot. It came up with a page from 2023 where it mentioned the bot SDK.
Okay.
And then at the bottom of the page, they added conversational AI, which takes me to developing your own Copilot.
Okay.
Is Microsoft still supporting the bot SDK?
I believe so. I haven't heard anything different, but I don't know. Microsoft's so big. I'm not involved in every conversation.
Sure. Is there a movement towards going with Copilot for all types of conversational bot development?
I don't know. There's definitely a
Okay.
huge push for Copilot and everything, though.
Thanks. Do you hear many people talking about older approaches to bot, like natural language processing?
I mean, I'm on a project, more of like a side project at Microsoft, where they're still using the bot SDK. I don't work directly with it. I work with the API that surfaces other types of data for it. But I know they're not using Copilot for that one, and it's a new project.
Thanks.
It's for like a nonprofit company, though. So I don't know if the bigger enterprise companies would shoot for Copilot.
Reading
It's
about,
probably also a matter of cost.
yes, reading about the bot SDK for the first time just now, it's pretty impressive. It mentions that it integrates with Dynamic 365 and other smaller business products. Are they integrating Copilot in a similar way with their small business products?
With like Outlook and
Sure, Outlook,
oh yeah,
Dynamics.
yeah. I don't know much about Dynamics, but I've heard it was going in there. We have it. It's in Teams. Did we talk about this last meetup?
We may have talked about related
Oh, okay.
questions. I'm interested in where Copilot is going and what part it will play in our careers.
If you look up, if you're Microsoft World, so if you go to Copilot 365, there's probably a lot of information.
Thanks.
Oh, this isn't the documentation, but so we have Copilot like in our Outlook. There's companies that are starting to get it, incorporate it, and that's part of my department. Like we're starting to implement that for customers. And like in Outlook, you can ask Copilot to filter down your emails. You can ask it to give you like action items that you need to follow up on. You can ask it to reply to an email for you or to set up a meeting. You can ask it like, what are my strengths and my weaknesses based on my responses and emails and in my Teams chat, and it'll give you answers. You can ask it like, what did my manager want from me last week? Because sometimes, you know, like in Teams or like my inbox, I have like 3,000 messages that I haven't read, and it's just impossible to manage. So Copilot is helping me manage my email now.
Interesting.
And my Teams chats, because so I'm like, I work as a team lead over like 40 devs. There are multiple teams. And so my Teams chat is just insane. And sometimes I'll be in like 3 meetings at the same time and bouncing back and forth between each one. And so Copilot will transcribe those meetings, and then I can ask it, like if I have to hop over to a meeting, I can ask it, you know, what did I miss? And it'll tell me like, oh, Sarah talked about this and Sarang raised an alarm about this thing. It's really cool.
Interesting. Are the clients making big use of it?
I don't know overall, but the client I have now, we're using it in development and to record all their not to record all their meetings, but to summarize all their meeting notes. And I think they've also used it to develop like user stories. And I mean, obviously they'll use it to like develop user stories for new development, but it'll generate it and then they have to refine it like manually.
Thanks, Jessica.
Yeah.
This is very valuable info for all of us because we're seeing so much change now. We're all, you know, getting ready for these big
I know.
next steps. If there was anything you could magically improve with these technologies, what would it be?
I wish we could work with less stress. Like if it, sometimes it'll save time in one spot, but then that gets filled with other spots. Like, why am I all of a sudden in 3 meetings at the same time? Maybe that's a cultural thing.
Thank you. That's a great point. Our technology is not yet taking measure of human resource availability.
Yeah.
So we could end up with unrealistic demands.
Yeah. And you still have to be careful about what Copilot generates too. Like, I mean, it generated a failed test. So if you get a new developer who, straight out of college or self-taught, and they start programming, it's like they still need that background knowledge to develop. If they just try to do it fresh, and without having like real people around them, like other mentor developers to help them, and they just rely on Copilot, I don't think that is going to be super helpful because Copilot can still generate wrong information.
Great
It's not the
point.
same as a human connection.
That will probably be a new challenge. How do we train and educate new people so they don't appear to know what they're doing, but actually do know what they're doing?
Yeah.
It sounds a little backwards. Yeah, but I was gonna make my own comment that in order to make ChatGPT work, or the Copilot or whatever, that I was gonna compare it to, there was an episode of Gunsmoke where Festus Hagen came riding by and he saw a girl having trouble making her mule go.
Yeah.
And Festus was saying, "Now see here, young girl, in order to make the mule go, you gotta be smarter than the mule is." And
Yeah.
Ed, you have made me feel young. I love you.
I watched it when I was a kid.
but
Some of them.
yeah, but I mean, that is, you do have to be wise enough to be able to look at the code that the thing is generated for you, and be able to say, "Oh, this isn't quite right. This isn't going to do it," or "There's something wrong here." And so that is going to be a requirement, or you're going to be stuck there with things that don't quite work right, and you're going to be stuck there sitting there not knowing what's the matter.
You know what though? I got to just throw this out real quickly. I'm not sure we really know what a lot of code has been doing for the entire past 10 years. because we've been using libraries for everything. Does anyone know what these libraries are doing? It's shuffling things around, looking in Stack Overflow. It's we're like library assemblers rather than programmers.
Well, that's an interesting point. Mike Stratton had a problem. He landed himself a nice paying job, but he's sitting there working with the code one day, and he's seeing code getting injected into the project, and he not knowing where it came from. The only thing he knows is that it just happened from his laptop, but he doesn't know where or how it came from. And it's not so bad. It's not malicious, but he just kind of, he's telling other people that he works with. Well, it's a work from home situation. Telling his coworkers, and nobody else can figure out where it's coming from either, except that it just came from his laptop, and he just got kind of upset. Like, well, what happens if it starts generating some malicious code? Then they're all gonna think that I did it. I'm sitting here not knowing where this came from.
I for one welcome the hackers into my laptop to do my work.
It's just kind of scary. It's just kind of scary because, you know, it could seriously lead to some criminal prosecution. So he actually decided it was better to just jump off the ship. You know, so he won't be caught in this debacle. I have heard as some people actually did get prosecuted for injecting as some malicious code into a project. And I guess like one you know, there's a downloader that I used to like to play with called Orbit Downloader. I guess at least one of the guys on the crew must have injected something to make it function like a denial a service robot. So you just be laying there doing your downloads one day, and all of a sudden, right out of nowhere, your computer would just become locked up.
That's
And
yeah, quite a story. Say, Jessica, are there projects, open source or community projects we can get involved in to practice these skills?
Yeah, and so I wanted to show you Microsoft Build just happened, and they released a lot of information about Copilot. It was all AI centered. And you can watch all their videos and read their blogs. They're upcoming for the future.
What's the name of that?
It's Microsoft Build. It's their major conference that they have every
Oh, okay,
year.
thanks.
Yeah. And I wish I could attend. They don't send us. That would be so cool. And then I left.
That's criminal.
I know it's like $5,000 or something.
Well, but I mean, you're employees, right? Like you should get in free, and then yeah, you'd have to pay for your room and board, but
it would
yeah,
be
it's a
really
lot.
cool.
I wanted to
They
finish
pay for other conferences, but there's
my story about the Orbit downloader real quick. Was that you imagine what it's like is like having my computer freeze up. I didn't know what was the matter, and finally I did some reading around, found out that there were a whole bunch of articles saying that this thing was denial of service robot. And can you imagine somebody probably paid money to have that thing developed, and it could be just one guy on the project might have been able to insert some code into the project, and nobody could figure out where it is, and all of a sudden the whole project's ruined. That guy went and lost all his money on this thing that nobody wants to have on their computer anymore, and even the websites that provide for download are no longer listing the thing. That you literally gotta go dig. Yeah, it's like I actually had that happen one day where I thought I wanted to have a copy, and I'm looking all over, and you literally need to go. You could only find it on a bootleg website. I didn't know this is happening, that the thing had gone bad. But okay, that's. Hey, Joe, could you post a link to that article that you were talking about in the chat, please?
for the blog.
Jessica already did. Same thing.
Oh, that's it.
The article for what thing? Like the bot SDK?
The article that Joe was talking about.
Oh, the bot SDK one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any chance you could post a link for us, please, Joe?
Copilot Studio is a place where you can play around with Copilot too, but I haven't really played with it, so won't dig into that now.
Was this it? Or no?
Right.
Yeah.
So is Copilot Studio then, is that just a a sandbox where you can learn to work with it, or can you actually like create things and use it in a production scenario?
I don't know if you can use it in a production scenario. I don't know much about it, but because it's kind of newer, but I know it's like a sandbox area. You can program online with it without having your own ID, like outside of VS Code.
Well, that'll be helpful to play before I buy, because you have to, we ran into this last time, is you have to buy it. It's a 30-day free trial, but then you have to pay money, right?
Did I send this over too? I forget. You have to pay money for Copilot, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, this is the base page. So it has Copilot Studio training and then working with entities, building effective Copilots. And Microsoft, like, I mean, they have all kinds of training, like in AI, if you want to go into like what a large language model is and how to work with them.
Mhm.
I think new developers need to have some kind of AI training now if they want to at least work for a bigger corporation.
Yeah. When you get your AI training, are you doing mostly the Microsoft Learn stuff, or do they have
Yeah.
like internal training for you guys?
We have internal training too. It's just tricky to attend.
Mm-hmm.
They're all recorded, but and then the Copilot thing I shared today was part of training that my team developed, which is an overall developing custom Copilots that we presented to our department. Actually, to all of Microsoft. It wasn't just our department.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So we got internal training,
Yeah.
internal Microsoft stuff.
Approved. I got it approved first.
Approved, of course. Approved. That's really cool.
But yeah, Microsoft Learn is awesome and can
Yeah.
search for AI and
I want to carve out dedicated time to at least you could spend an hour a day learning new features of Microsoft products and reading the docs to really know what's going on. Actually, I'm dealing with this Azure related networking issue. We think it's networking related. And yeah, they're reading the docs and coming. They're like, wow, I didn't know this was true. And so they're like, wow, you guys don't read all the documentation and like have it memorized? And they're like, no. Okay, good. I don't either. Good to know.
It changes so fast too.
It does. It
Like
does.
they'll change the names. You're like, what? We were calling it something else
Yeah.
like last year.
The great thing about standards, there's so many to choose from.
Yep. I'm a TDLR type of person.
Did this meeting end
TLDR?
yeah.
Yeah.
This meeting ends at 8:30.
So the Zoom was till 8:30, I think.
Oh,
I
I
don't
was
know.
rushing. I was thinking it was ending at 8.
I don't know what I
Okay.
put it on Meetup, but I mean, I think 2 hours is expected for highly technical topics. I think we put it for 2 hours even on Meetup. So I think you're right on time.
Okay.
Oh no, it did say till 8 p.m. on Meetup, but everybody's still here. That was here. So.
What's the biggest current demand of clients for Azure or other technologies?
The biggest demand? We're seeing
Yes,
a
like
lot of like infrastructure, like automation with deploying code. I guess it depends. What world are you talking about? The business world? Like automation is really big. Deploying your code automatically, like writing bicep and Terraform files is huge right now. Because
thanks.
You know what I mean? Like when you're deploying something to Azure or AWS and you're setting up those environments, they're huge. So somebody who can develop scripts to set those up automatically and repeatable. I mean, that's really in demand too. Are you a recruiter, Joe?
No, I'm the opposite of recruiter. I'm looking to be recruited.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, me too, but I got a question about that. I've noticed some employers claim to give like affirmative action to people who got various handicaps like diabetes. And my question, have you guys noticed that? Is it true, or are they lying, you know, where they go to say they're looking for that, but then when they find out in the interview that you have some of these problems, then they reject you? How does that work out?
That's
Uh,
illegal.
Yeah.
They can't legally reject you for medical issues. I personally would not disclose medical issues in an interview situation.
Sometimes if it's obvious and you can't hide it,
Yeah.
it's, but yeah, it's totally illegal. I mean, I not at Microsoft, but a job before that, I wasn't on an interview where a gentleman had a disability. I think he had a stroke. So one side of his body was more, partially paralyzed. But we interviewed him and we hired him, and he couldn't really speak that well either. He's a really good programmer, so. But I remember the HR lady was like, "Oh, that fulfills our accessibility requirement," or not accessibility. What is it called? Disability.
I think it's accessibility.
I thought it was a weird thing to say, but
It is.
that wasn't why we hired him.
I don't know about human resources sometimes, but I don't know, Ed. I mean, I'm not in human resources.
It's important to have like all types of people though,
I
and
agree.
in tech, like you need all types of different viewpoints. If you just have, like if my phone going off, like wasn't it Siri who was since it was developed by mostly men and white men, like you would ask it questions like, what do I do if I was raped? And it had no idea what to say. Like it didn't have answers for those situations because it wasn't developed considering them, because there were no women involved. And
Yeah.
there are things like where AI is generated and it's like all white people.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was some like computer vision type applications that wouldn't recognize Black people in
Yes.
pictures and stuff because it was trained on was, lighter skinned white people. And so you'd have these darker skinned people that were not recognized in photos that were supposed to like auto tag or pick out people in pictures, and they weren't picked out because they were not considered, they weren't trained, like the data that it was trained on did not,
Yeah.
they didn't fit those parameters, right? So yeah, it's a problem. I mean, there are probably, I know there's a whole market for applications that can help people that have medical issues or disabilities.
And I know
And
Microsoft, we have groups, like there's groups for like people with disabilities, and they'll advocate for, when we develop projects, they can go over our projects and make sure they're accessible for people who are like blind or hard of hearing or
yeah, like employee resource
the
groups is
issue.
what we call them.
Yeah.
ESGs.
ERGs.
ERGs, yeah. Yeah, and that's important. It's important that we all contribute to the building of our future, essentially, with technology.
It also relates to reaching out to customers. We want to reach out to every type of customer. have you all, seen Copilot or similar tech used to reach a variety of customer cultures?
What do you mean?
Well, you call it a new version of direct marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Certain groups of people will be more interested or respond to certain types of communication than other groups. Like teenagers might be interested in pop stars, and Gen Xers might be interested in, I don't know, Nirvana or something. Uh, can Copilot like adjust to that?
I don't know.
You
I
mean
don't-
it's gonna like sound like Kurt Cobain when it talks to you? If you're a Gen Xer, you can like set the voice to be like
That would be
grunge
spooky.
rock.
Well, there was an issue with Scarlett Johansson lately where they set, I forget what chatbot, a voice chatbot set their program to use Scarlett Johansson's voice. And they originally asked her if they could use it, and she said, no, I don't feel comfortable with that. And then they did it anyway. And she's suing them. I don't know
Yeah.
about culture, if it can pick up on like language cues. So they have it in like calls. I don't know if this is actually in practice yet, but I've seen it demoed where it'll pick up on your speech and your emotions. What do they call it? The sentiment of
Yeah,
their
sentiment.
to be used in call centers so they can tell like if a customer is upset or happy or satisfied, and what the salesperson or the customer service person can do and how they can respond to make a better experience for the customer. I'm sure it could be used. Are you talking about like data analysis too, at marketing?
Yes, yeah, it's all
I'm
connected.
sure.
I've been seeing a lot of job ads for AI developer, AI support, all types of things with AI in it, but I don't think we actually have an AI career path developed yet. It's kind of a
I
wild
don't think
west.
so. Yeah.
It's really like in the 2000s when we needed so many developers, and if you had a degree in history, you were hired. It doesn't matter. Like, we'll train you on the job. So
Wow.
I kind of see that opportunity here with AI. And maybe it's my age, but I feel like the market, the job market is responding. Like, and it might be that all of these digital natives are just able to pick up this AI stuff really quickly.
Mhm.
But I see a lot of really young people like really leveraging AI. I'm like, how do they have time to figure all that out? Like, I watched an AI, there's an AI conference about this woman who started her own company making basically AI virtual assistants. And so now people that have like a client base can pay, she's like, basically what people are doing is they're creating these AI versions of themselves by loading all of their content into them, all of their documentation, all of their help, all of their tutorials, all that stuff. And then people pay a reduced price, instead of directly getting support or consulting or coaching or whatever from the person. They pay less money per month to have access to their AI. And with an SLA of, if you ask my AI a question and they can't answer you, you'll get a response from me or my assistant within 72 hours or something like that, with a direct response. And then they just update the AI to answer that question as well. And I'm like, wow, that's brilliant. I wish I had thought about that. So, and she was just, some young late 20s, just like, oh yeah, when this AI thing happened, I thought, how could I use this to my advantage? And then a year later, she's got this product that she's selling, and I'm like, wow, it just seems to move so fast.
Every busy person could use that.
Yes. Well, that's what I'm like. I can't wait to get to the point where AI can make my doctor's appointments, buy my groceries,
Boring stuff.
yeah, take take stock of when I need to get more paper towels, make my grocery list for me. And, you know, during the pandemic, I was doing Instacart, right? Not Instacart, is that what it was? Yeah, like the grocery cart where you just order
Yeah.
online and somebody goes and shops for you. It felt so luxurious. Like I had a personal shopper. And I want AI to get to that point where they can just put the order in and somebody delivers my groceries and somebody like make sure I have everything I need on hand.
Do you remember Google Duo?
No.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
It
Need a water.
it came out like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago or something. It basically did what you just described. They had it in beta, but they stopped the project for some reason. You'd ask it to do something, it would make phone calls and try to accomplish it for you.
Oh yeah, to return phone calls for me. Oh, gosh, that would be amazing. Because half of the time, I'm just like, what does this person want? Tell me what you want, and then I'll decide if I want to talk to you. If I could have an AI answer the phone for me and triage those calls, like this is really important. You need to deal with this, and this is just a telemarketer, and this is just a reminder for your doctor's appointment, and this is just.
Wow, that's a great idea, Shannon.
I would
think
love that.
we've got our startup.
I mean, there's so many opportunities, right? It's a time, I think. But I mean, I'm excited because I think the AI tools and there's more low code tools out there. It would be quick, I think, if you had no kids and no aging parents, which is
Mhm.
not my situation. But
Uh,
if you
yeah.
had your weekends for free, you could probably build a really cool MVP of some of these products.
Yeah, there probably is a lot of opportunity out there.
Yeah. But Jesse, I know you have to go. You've got other stuff. So if anybody has any final questions for Jessica, go ahead and ask. And if you come up with something and you want to get in touch with her, just are there ways people can contact you, or you want them
I'm
to
mostly
send it
just
to
on
me?
LinkedIn. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
I could share my LinkedIn because Twitter is not Twitter anymore. I could share my, probably need to get a new picture from my LinkedIn. It's very old.
I think mine's a professional picture from a previous job, and
Oh,
I'm just going
nice.
to use that until I start to not look like it anymore.
And then, and I'm on GitHub as well. So not the Akron Women in Tech GitHub, but I am going to be deleting this account like within, I think, another week.
You're gonna do what with your account in another week?
So the Akron Wit Copilot is an account a temporary account I created to upload this Learn Python with Copilot tutorial so that I could activate Copilot on it temporarily to share with everyone who is going to participate in this session.
So what she's saying is like this link, this Akron Wit Copilot, Learn Python with Copilot on GitHub, it's not going to be around for very long. I don't know if I fork it, would we keep it?
You could download it and upload it if you
That's
want.
what I was thinking I could do
Okay.
too, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. And I'll probably put it on my base repository too. This is my base GitHub. This is my real GitHub repo.
Say, Shannon, I think I'm going to try to make the idea you mentioned. If you email me and you'd like to try it, that would be great.
Oh, sure. You want me to be your beta tester?
If you'd like.
That would be fun.
I don't have enough people calling me to beta test.
Offer it for free for the first, 10 people or 100 people or however many people you think. But I mean, start building it and start, talking to people. You say, hey, this is what I'm working on. What features would you add to it? And then you say, okay, once I add those features, would you test it for me? Just like you just did. And I think it'll grow eventually.
Thanks.
And there might be some, because I think all the stuff on Azure will cost money. You get a monthly credit for a while. I think they have other programs where you can get credits on Azure too. If you're a student. I don't know if there's an alternative. There might be alternatives. I haven't looked into it because I work at Microsoft.
Jessica, tell your bosses thank you, great job, and please send you back to us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be here. I live in Akron, kind of.
Oh,
You're
awesome.
always welcome. Always welcome to present. So we will touch base with you in a few months and see if you'll come back.
Okay. Do you think the next meeting will be in a couple months?
Oh, no, I just was going to give you a break, but if you want to present again next month.
Probably not next one.
No, I think so.
I would like to just come and hang out again.
Yeah, we actually were. We were going to do a summer, like a summer version of what we did in the winter. And Tasha has this option to do, it's called Project Replay, where you go and you repair electronic toys and stuff for kids. And so she thought that would be more productive than just going and hanging out, but we're going to do another hangout
That would be fun.
in the fall probably, and we're going to do this replay thing I think in July. And we do have an introduction to Rust actually on Monday, so that's going to be
Okay.
our June meetup. Is a Rust meetup, so an intro to Rust for developers, so it's going to be cool. And then yeah, July we'll probably do the replay event, and then yeah, I don't know what's after that. I know we have someone on deck to maybe talk about project management, and there's some events that I wanted to do later in the fall. Hopefully I move this summer, gosh. Fingers crossed. So, and then yeah, and then we'll have another in-person hangout, have some pizza, get a drink, and catch up event.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. I'm gonna stop recording. So if there's anything, are you sure you want to stop